I'm glad this is being investigated, and I think that entire team from top to bottom needs to be cleaned out.
He might laugh. I assume he would just laugh and joke it off, or he might pick up a chair and crush it over your head. Who knows? We don't know. It's all in play right now.
I had made my peace with the Knicks losing in 7, and I didn't play in the game. But if somebody was to like sit me down for an interview after Game 7, I'd be like, "Yeah, how about this? How about you,
Jayson?"
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you ahead of time today during the episode. At some point during the episode,
all right.
I'm going to say something mean to you. It's gonna be mean. And I just want.
So wait, how am I going to know that this is different than other times that you say something mean to me?
Well, because I don't really say anything mean to you, but this is going to be a mean thing. But as a way to make it easier to identify, I've already told Dori ahead of time what the mean thing is, and so when I say it, he's going to play the celebration montage sound that we have. Okay, so that's how you'll know. But I just wanted to give you a heads up because again, I mostly only ever say nice things to you because I think you're you're probably like the 7th best person on the planet if we arrange them all in order.
I gotta say, I way overshot my scouting report. I didn't think it was that high, but
you're high
I'll
up
take
there.
It.
You're high up there, and so the mean thing will be a bit of a surprise because I don't ever do it. I say mean things to people all the time. Rarely, if ever, you though. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to let you know that way you're not so caught off guard. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I don't want you to. Mm-hmm. It's coming, and you're gonna know because Dori's gonna play the celebration montage. All right, you ready to start the show?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. From Wondery, I'm Shea Serrano,
and I'm Jayson Concepcion,
and this is 6 Trophies.
Hello!
So, whoa, right into it. Okay.
I'm Jayson Concepcion, and welcome to 6 Trophies, a podcast series hosted by myself and Shea Serrano, in which we comb through all the NBA news from the past week and hand out 6 pop culture themed trophies for 6 basketball related activities. This episode, the Celtics are in the conference finals again. The Timberwolves making the leap? ? Are the Mavericks ready to take the step to the finals? All that and more. Let's hand out some trophies.
Couldn't help but notice you listed 3 of the 4 teams in the conference finals. No Indiana. Terrible. Typical liberal media.
We're going to talk about them.
Disrespecting the flyer states.
No, we're going to talk about
typical New York
them.
Bias.
That's not true. Rick Carlisle. Did you get Rick Carlisle pills?
We do 2 sets of trophies, the big trophies and the little trophies. The big trophies are first. These ones are the same each week. First up, the Denzel Washington and Training Day Trophy given out to whoever it is who had the best overall performance of the week. This week's winner, the Boston Celtics, Jayson.
The Boston Celtics. Shouts to Mark Wahlberg. Shouts to Big Papi. Everybody celebrating there, escaping with a win by the skin of their teeth.
You gotta win that game. If you're Indiana, you gotta win that game.
Tyrese Halliburton, after their rousing win against the Knicks in Game 7, wore the famous Reggie Miller choke shirt with the image of Reggie emblazoned on it. And I think it's fitting that in that image, Reggie has his hands wrapped around his own neck because the Pacers choked this game away.
I couldn't believe it.
3 times.
I couldn't believe
weird
it.
Fashion.
I could not believe. I wanted them to win so bad. Let's table set here.
Okay.
I think both of us want the Celtics in the finals, right? You want the Celtics in the finals, right?
I do because and no disrespect to the Pacers, who I understand I just disrespected by mentioning that they choked 3 times to lose this game. But yeah, I feel like candidly, I feel like whatever team comes out of the West would fucking run over the Pacers.
Definitely.
And the Celtics will, it'll be a good series. And I want to see a good series.
I think, if the Celtics make it to the finals, that's a series. I think the Celtics are the favorites if they make it to the finals. Right. But I want this series to last a little while. I want there to be some drama in there. You got to win this game if you're Indiana. You're up by 3 with possession of the ball with 27 or so seconds left. And then Tyrese just dribbles it off his own leg. Nesmith tries to save it, doesn't save it. Here come the Celtics.
He should do it too small for his own leg.
Tatum gets a beautiful wide open look at a 3 to tie the game, bricks it. It's a scramble. He ends up with the ball again. Fade away, bricks it, and you're like, oh my God, they're falling apart. The Celtics are about to lose this game. It's all of the criticisms that have been levied at the Celtics for the entirety of their run that they've been on the last couple of years. They can't win the big game. When it gets tight, they choke.
Yep.
And it looked like it was happening. And then the Pacers were like, listen, we don't want to win this game. Here, we're going to do everything we can.
Please take it because we
everything
don't want it.
we can. Another turnover. Can't get the ball in bounds. We're going to let you shoot a 3. Oh, my God. You got to win this game.
You got to win it. I mean, they had it.
And
it just felt like everything was a little too frenetic. I think the Water, this is a young team. Listen, Doris Burke told us like 5 or 6 or 7 times over the course of the telecast that Tyrese Halliburton is 24 years old. So I know that now that he's 24 years old. It's a very young team. And I think the Water just got a little too deep for them.
A little choppy.
I mean, they looked loosey-goosey throughout most of the game. Like, hey, we're just happy to be here. And then all of a sudden it got real when they could walk out of there with the W. I think that's
exactly what happened.
And it was like a splash of cold water brought them out of a dream, and they just lost their composure.
Yeah. It's like in the movies when the guy's like, oh, this isn't real. This is a fake.
Yeah.
This is a fake fight. And then he gets stabbed and he's like, oh shit, and then he panics because he knows now the fight is real. They went in there, they beat the Knicks, they win game 7 on the road. Everybody's like, great job, successful season. You can get blown out by the Celtics in the next round. Nobody cares. You got further than we expected. They're out there just having a good time.
They were having a great time all game.
Boston make a little run, go up 7. Here come the Pacers. Go up 10. Here come the Pacers. And then they get the lead, and oh shit, they might sneak out of here with a win. And they realized it. And I think you're exactly right, Jason. They were like, oh shit, this is real. We could actually do this.
Yeah.
And then done. They lost the game. They lost the series tonight. That's what happened.
They shot 53% from the field. They were like at 56. They were like mid 50s for most of the game. Stroke it. I didn't see Obi Toppin miss a shot. TJ McConnell was doing TJ McConnell stuff. Their bench was amazing, and they lost. Like you gotta win. You gotta win this game.
Win that game. What are you doing, Indiana? Please, we're begging you. Win the game. Just win the game. It's right there. It's right there.
I do think I actually think they get 2. I think they get the 2 in Indiana. I think it's Celtics in 6 because Indiana's, I think their home court is really underrated. I know they haven't lost at home since March, but I'm saying like the environment, like I know that, but I'm saying like the crowd, the environment is really, really raucous, and I think they get those 2, but man, this would have been an incredible game to get.
This was a perfect game for Boston. This is what they've had one game in the last 10 that were within 5 points in the final 5 or whatever the stat is, right? They don't play close games. They finally get a close game. They get a little taste of what everybody else has been doing in the playoffs. They get that, but they don't lose, but they should have lost, but they didn't lose.
Right.
It's all of the things that you want to have happen if you're going to win a game. All of the buttons got pressed and you still walked out of there with a win, and you're feeling pretty good, but also like, oh shit, we have to take these guys maybe a little more seriously than we were. Because the first 2 quarters of the game, it felt a little like even the energy in the arena through the TV. You're like, this doesn't feel like a conference finals playoff game, right? Everybody just sort of was expecting the Celtics to roll over them, and the fact that they didn't, but they still won. Perfect scenario for the Celtics.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was a decided lack of, I don't want to say respect for the Pacers, but the vibe I got was like the Celtics felt like we can knock these guys out whenever.
Definitely.
When we apply ourselves, we'll get them. And that almost bit them. I think this is, I can almost imagine Joe Mazzulla's post-game speech right now. And to your point, I think this is a great like teaching game. Like, hey guys, this is a real team over here. They're offensively explosive. They have a very deep bench. They come at you in waves and they will run. So, we need to apply ourselves. And the thing that really kind of disappointed me about the Celtics is kind of infuriating about them is like the defensive intensity was not there. Like this is a team that did it on both sides of the ball. The Celtics were a historic offensive team over the course of the regular season, but they did it on both sides of the ball. And I was missing that intensity. Like it just felt like they never got into Halliburton or TJ McConnell until the game started to wind down and they started to kind of wake up and come into the game.
Being able to just go for the Celtics to just go, Drew, fucking put Tyrese in a straitjacket, please.
Go do it.
And then oh my God, what a weapon to have. We talked at the beginning of the season when they got Drew Holiday of like, oh, this is the championship piece right here, this guy.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it now in the biggest moment, just on the other team's best player. Oh my God. I tweeted this when we were watching the game. There's a stretch where it goes, Jayson Tatum gets an and one. This is in overtime. The Pacers are winning, but Jayson Tatum gets an and one, bucket and the free throw, makes a free throw. Tyrese comes down, turnover. Jayson Tatum on the other end immediately hits a 3. And it was the clearest, most obvious, our guy is better than your guy sequence in the game. Our guy is better than your guy. That's why we're going to win this game. That's why the Pacers are going to lose this series, because the Celtics guy is better than your guy. Sorry. Sad to say.
Guess how many free throws total the Pacers took?
What was it? 6?
10.
10. Oh, end of the game. I missed the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a disaster. There was at one point where they went the 5-minute mark in the first quarter all the way to the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter with no free throws, not shooting a single free throw. Here's the thing, though. That's going to be something people point out. I get it. I understand. But if you watch the game, it never felt like they aren't calling any fouls on the... It didn't feel like that.
No, because they just take the ball out of the basket and run and go right to the rim or shoot a 3 and make it. It's like there's no contact. There's no nothing. It's just like run down, shoot. It's like hard to get fouled when that's what you're doing.
Next trophy. The Lauryn Hill, you might win some, but you just lost one trophy. Given out to whoever it is who had the worst performance of the week. This week's winner, the odds of becoming a repeat NBA champion. Terrible. You just can't do it. You can't do it anymore.
We've entered the age of new champions, which I enjoy it. I like it. But I think it also just highlights how hard it is to repeat, how really difficult it is to do it. And would you agree that you're just not a top tier championship team if you don't repeat? Would you agree with that?
I disagree. I do not agree with that assessment.
You don't think it's a more impressive feat to like go back to back or three-peat and then take a break and then three-peat than like win one, skip a year.
I think win one, skip a year, win one, skip a year. Win one, skip a year. Yeah. 3 out of 5 to me is so much more impressive than 3 out of 3. Because you got hit. You got hit in the nose and you came back. That's what that is. It's been what? The last back-to-back champion that we had was the 2018 Warriors. Prior to that, the Heat did it, the Lakers did it, the Bulls did it, the Rockets did it, the Pistons did it, and the Celtics did it. But we've not had one for a while. And you like that? You like that, Jason?
I do like, I mean, it seemed like for most of my, NBA watching life, it feels like it was the age of back-to-back championships. The Lakers of the 80s, the Celtics never went back-to-back, but the Lakers in the 80s, the Pistons, as you mentioned, the Bulls. And it seemed like that's always how it was, to the point where it felt a little bit as like the drama was seeped out of it. Like you kind of knew back in the 90s who was going to win, or the early 2000s. You felt like you understood who was the overall favorite to win the title and would likely do it. And particularly if they had won it the previous year, it's like 2001 Lakers, you're thinking, okay, who's going to stop them? But I like the turnover. I like everybody getting a shot at it. And I think it also highlights just how difficult it is to do.
I think I feel the opposite. I like for there to be a big bad in the NBA, like a bully that everybody's running up against that you can't seem to beat, because then when they finally do lose, it feels so great. It feels so cool. Watching you mentioned the 01 Lakers, they win in 2000, 2001, 2002. You couldn't do anything with that team. One of the greatest basketball teams ever assembled. They would just destroy everything. And then when they finally lost, it was jubilation is what you know what I mean? I like when there's a bully. I like when there's disappointment of like, fuck, we just can't beat these guys. And then you finally beat them. You know what I mean?
You know what I think it also is? I think it's Denver obviously has been an elite team for a while, but won their first championship in the history of their franchise the previous season. And I think that there's a learning curve too for front offices. The Nuggets stood pat, essentially. Bruce Brown walked away. They lost Jeff Green. And they kind of bet on the team just everybody getting a little bit better, younger players getting a little bit better, MPJ getting better, and it kind of worked. But I think what you're seeing is, to repeat, it's not just about the players, it's about the organization as a whole doing everything it can to find the edge. Because other teams, Jamal Murray said it after the game, it's hard being the hunted. When teams are coming after you, it's different.
The Bruce Brown thing, I think, hurt them a bunch. They were missing that guy this playoff run. It still felt like they were going to beat the Timberwolves. I can't believe that the Timberwolves won that game. They're down 20 in the third quarter. Nothing is going great for them. Ant is having a terrible game. Mm-hmm. And then they do that thing where they decide we're going to be the best defensive basketball team you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they just shut down. They put Ant on Jamal Murray. They freaking
he cuffed him. Cuffed him. He put him in the back of the patrol car.
Said as much after the game too.
Murray and Jokic put up numbers, but it was hard. And that's all you need, particularly when Denver's role players were like nowhere to be found.
Nowhere.
Could not make a shot.
Aaron Gordon, 2 for 5. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 2 for 7. Michael Porter Jr., 3 for 12.
Yikes!
Like it was not awesome. It was not awesome if you're watching that game and you're a Denver Nuggets fan, because you're like, all right, we're supposed to win this game. We're going to win this game. And then slowly the Timberwolves start walking them down.
You know what? I want to shout out a guy who has been memed to his detriment a lot over the course of his career, Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh, man.
Was so huge in this game. Two-way guy.
The best game he's played in his playoff career. The most important, too.
Everything, he was guarding Jokic, he was scoring, he was making mostly good decisions, and it's been a long road for him to get here. And he really carried them through that tough stage where they're down double digits, and it seemed like, what is anything good going to happen for the Timberwolves? And he was the one chipping away, keeping them close. Shouts to fucking Cat, man.
I thought Denver was going to win this series, but I felt myself the further it went along wanting the Timberwolves to win. I just was like, oh God, I want to see this. I really want to see this. They start getting closer and closer. You're getting more and more excited. There was one play where the Timberwolves play great defense. The ball gets loose and Christian Braun picks it up and then just like chucks it up right at the free throw line. And I think they were up by 6 at that point, and then it splashes in and it goes to 8. And I was like, fuck, that's the shot right there where you're like, that's where it turned. That's where they got control back again. But that wasn't that shot, Jason. It was fucking Rudy Gobert with a buzzer beater fadeaway jumper. Gosh, shout out Rudy Gobert. Maybe the most fun player to make fun of because he's so tall and because he's so gangly. And also he's very talented. You have to be good to get picked on. But he like finds himself in some tricky situations sometimes on defense, or guys are clearly coming after him and you're like, how is this the defensive player of the year if everybody's attacking him? But he was so good. He was so good in game 7, and you're just happy for him that he hits that shot. The Joker had hit that shot 55 times over Rudy, and you just throw your hands up and you're like, fuck, what do I do? And then he finally gets one. He gets one and oh God, you look at it and you go, well, there it is. That was the moment. That was the moment the universe decided the Timberwolves were going to walk out of there as winners.
Yeah, and defensively, they put him on Gordon, took the aerial threat completely out of the game, made Jokic basically have to score because he loves throwing that pass to a cutting Gordon off the baseline. It just took a weapon away from them, and it was like the Nuggets had to fight hand to hand, and they almost did it, but ultimately, man, the Timberwolves are just exciting. Shouts to A-Rod, who looked very happy to root for a team that he does not own.
I know. I saw him celebrating. I was like, was he the owner now? Did I miss something? Did it work out?
He's just like hanging around now. He's just... That'd be like me almost buying a car and just hanging out at the dealership for the next 6 months.
Can I make an argument here? I'm going to make an argument. Okay. So if we look at the Joker, a beautiful basketball player, we love the Joker. Mm-hmm. Generally considered the best basketball player alive right now. The best basketball player in the league. That's what everybody says. I think so. Yeah. For the most part. Right. But if we look at his playoff series record, Jason, here are his wins. Here are his wins in the postseason. He has one win against the number 2 seed. This was at the 2020 Clippers. He has one win against the number 4 seed. He has 2 wins against the 6 seed. He has 3 wins against the 7 seed and 1 win against an 8 seed. He has never beaten a 50-win team in the postseason in his career. It's never happened. This is what I'm going to say. The Joker is overrated and they should trade him to San Antonio.
Wow!
Get him to San Antonio.
Oh, interesting.
Listen, you got to have 2 7-footers now. The Timberwolves, they changed it. They changed the game. You got to have 2 7-footers. And we got one down here. Come on down, Joker. Come be with us. Denver, he's overrated. You got to get rid of this guy.
Got to get rid of him.
Joker, they don't appreciate you. Come on. Come down here, Jay.
I think you're absolutely right. I go further. I think MPJ and Chris Braun, I think that they're ready to make a leap, like a huge leap. And I think now is the time to sell high on the Joker because, like, he's got to be on the, what more can he do? He's won 3 MVPs and a championship, and he's in commercials now, and he's horse racing, and he's on the downside. Let's buy early.
Get out.
MPJ and the young guys, and let's move. Let's get off Jokic before it's too late.
Good idea. Send him to San Antonio. You think that's going to work? You think that's going to work?
No, I don't think that's going to work. I think that the people of Colorado would burn the facility to the ground.
Could you imagine? No. Oh, that would be so heartbreaking.
It would be over.
It would be so devastating. Next trophy. We're this close to crowning an NBA champ. And with the action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
New to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least 5 simoleons, and you'll get a bonus bet pack equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. You know what was interesting to think about is Kyrie has been he's been a creator. He's picked his spots, but I think everyone would agree that his scoring output has not been there. The Thunder really looked to take him out of the game, play the odds, and see if PJ Washington could cook. And guess what? PJ Washington got in the kitchen and he cooked. Will Kyrie get loose from here on out?
I would imagine so. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code 6. That's code SIX for new customers to get a no sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit.
Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. One no-sweat bet per new customer. Issued as one bonus bet based on amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/bball for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Next trophy, the Dominic Toretto I Live My Life a Quarter Mile at a Time trophy. Give it out to whoever it is who made a short-term decision with no regard for future consequence. This week's winner, the Oklahoma City Thunder, for acquiring Gordon Hayward. Didn't work out. It did not work out, Jay.
I think in retrospect, they should have got any other player. Just
Gordon,
any other one.
I honestly didn't even remember that he played in Oklahoma City until he just walked out in a game. And I was like, when did Gordon Hayward get here? How long has he been here? Turns out they traded for him. Well, they traded to the Charlotte Hornets, Davis Bertans, Trey Mann, Vasily Michik, a 2024 second round draft pick, a 2025 second round draft pick,
they got
and cash consideration. And to get Gordon Hayward, who does a whole bunch of nothing, Jason,
literally zero. He played 40 plus minutes, as we talked about last episode, scored 0 points. And, I think that this was probably a play. This, as everyone knows, Thunder, extremely young team, very, very young team. They you'll look on the court and there'll be like one guy over 23 sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think the idea was let's get some veteran help here, a guy who's been around who can do a lot of different things. Unfortunately, Gordon Hayward did none of the things. And and I think they should have got anyone else. Any other player.
You can't trade for veteran leadership and then not have him on the court. Like this is what makes the Timberwolves great, is Mike Conley. Like that's what makes them great, is they have the guy who's out there who can be like, all right, everybody settle down. We're gonna take a beat. It's getting kind of crazy in here. Hold on a second. And then he just sort of resets everything. If you're going to have, if like that's Gordon Hayward's job, you got to let him be out there and do that. But then who do you sit down? Because the Thunder are so good without him in the lineup. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this question, because I think, the talk out of OKC from Mark Daignault and from the players has been essentially like, we're a young team. We're going to see how high our ceiling is. And we're going to see, this is basically like, how good are we? Let's find out how good we are. And then we can make decisions off that. I understand this is a young team and they got a bright future ahead. A lot of things can happen though. And windows have a way of being smaller than you think. Do you think OKC really should have pushed the chips to the middle of the table and said, we're really good now, let's get a difference maker? Even if that means trading Giddey or something.
I think they should trade Giddey. No, regardless.
Well, Giddey, I think, is Giddey is the guy who will be cool. Go. For sure.
Yeah. Get him out of here. But no, I think this year the Thunder sort of surprised everybody. I couldn't name you one person who said, oh, they're going to finish number one in the West. Like not one person. They They did more than we were expecting them to do. And so I think when that happens, I think you're totally right to be like, all right, well, let's see what the playoffs look like. Let's get them a chance. Cause you're not supposed to win your first year. This is that Thunder team. This is their first year altogether with Chet in there. You know what I mean? Like as a unit, I think you let them go out there. I think you let them play. I think you lose in the second round to a Mavericks team that has on their side a league MVP contender, but also a guy who's won a championship before, who's hit the big shot to it, like a guy who's not going to get hurt. It's okay to lose to that team. Maybe not lose in 6, maybe not lose in 6, but it's okay to lose. And I think running back next year, let's see what happens, because they're all going to be a little bit tougher and a little bit meaner and a little more ready for when that water gets deep and
Chet
cold and choppy.
Chet had an amazing quote after they
He always
eliminated.
does. I love this kid.
He said, basically talking about the feeling of losing in the playoffs, quote, "Nobody wins 12 straight championships. So the chances that I'm going to feel this at some point again is definitely there, but I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid this feeling again." I love that. I love that drive. I also think 100% you're going to lose in the playoffs again. Like, like I think saying the chances are definitely there severely underrates the fact that you will lose in the playoffs.
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose again.
that's no knocking against OKC. Like, everybody will lose in the playoffs. That's how it works.
That's Chet, man. He's such a great player, but an even better quote machine. I still can't believe that the Mavericks won that game. I was watching the game at home. I had picked the Mavericks to win the series in 6, and they're getting blown out in game 6. And I was like, well, there goes that pick. Great. Way to go. And literally, I just went to sleep. It was like 10 o'clock or whatever. They're down by 17. I said, well, this game is over. And I just allowed myself to fall asleep on the couch. And then I woke up the next morning and I had 1,000 messages on my phone. And I looked and I was like, they fucking won that game. Thankfully I recorded it, went back and rewatched the game. Oh my God. How do you?
It looked bad. And it looked as if, the game previous to that, Luka had said that the team basically had an intervention with him and said, "Hey, stop complaining, play with joy, play with this, don't you love basketball? And you remember when you were a little boy and you picked up a basketball for the first time, you wanted to run around and score baskets and do cool stuff. And you didn't want to like turn to a ref and start complaining. Cut that out." And he took it to heart. And it seemed like in game 6, it seemed as if he was spinning off into the bad place, because OKC really started to go on a run when Luka just started turning to the ref again and he was like, he already had a tech and he was like in Tony Brothers' fucking ear about this and that. Mike Green was like, Tony Brothers already told Luka to cut it out or he might get another. He's not, Tony, everybody knows you're not going to give him another one. Stop it. But still, it seemed like it was going to spin off to a bad place, but they stabilized it. Man, PJ Washington had the series of his fucking life, Derek Lively was amazing, was all over the place.
I really like
and
Derek
the refs
Lively.
and the refs come through too. They make a big call that basically wins the series for the Mavs, and it's the right call. So shouts to them.
Was it the right call? I kind of hated it. Hated it.
It was a little bit like finding out about the tuck rule or something. Like that was what it was like to me. Like the first time you find out about the tuck rule, you're like, oh, that's a thing. That's what it is. But I guess stupid. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's stupid. It was dumb.
Whoever comes out of the West, will you consider them the favorite against, I'm just going to presume, the Celtics?
No, I think the Celtics are the favorite. After Denver lost, Denver was the one team I could see that was gonna look at the Celtics lineup, because the starting lineup is fucking intimidating. That's an intimidating starting lineup. Yeah. And I think the Nuggets were the one team that were going to look at it and not get nervous. They were going to look at Tatum and they were going to look at Jayson and they were going to stare him down and be like, we're fine. We're going to be okay. I think there's a chance the other teams, I think there's a chance that they look over there and go, ugh, I hope I don't start missing some shots. You know what I mean?
I feel like Ant would look at Jayson Tatum and say, "I'm going to put you in hell."
He's the yes. Yes. Now he's the one guy who won't do that. He won't do that. There was a great shot of him where the Timberwolves were getting blown out. They're starting to make like a little tiny run. Timeout. He's on the bench. The camera's like shooting down the baseline at him, and you see him turn to a coach or somebody whoever's over his shoulder, and you read his lips, and he just says, "I'm finna get in my bag." And it's like he has missed almost every shot he's taken, and then he does that. And
24 in that game.
and then he fucking number one shuts down Jamal Murray. They go like, what do they have, like a 28-9 run to end the third quarter, something goofy like that. The Nuggets just couldn't put it in there, but he's the guy who's not going to get nervous. I really want Minnesota to win this championship. I really want it.
I do.
I wanted Boston at first. Now I'm done. I flipped. I'm over there. They won me over.
As soon as the Knicks lost, I immediately threw my allegiance to whoever comes out of the West. I'm full West Coast teams right now. Western Conference till I die. Let's go, guys.
Next trophy. The Daniel Plainview, I've abandoned my child. I've abandoned my boy trophy. Just give it out to whoever it is we're temporarily giving up on for the week. This week's winner, to quote Mike Malone, stupid ass post-game questions. He was mad. Unfair.
I think you have to be careful as a reporter asking questions of a team that just got eliminated in a tough. I think you have to you have to lob it underhand, and you have to not go to follow-ups. The one that really, the Malone one obviously is the one that everybody clipped. But the one that really stuck in my mind and continues to stick in my mind is SGA. They're asking SGA about the final play, and he's like, "I wish I wouldn't have fouled him. I just wish I wouldn't have fouled him." Mm-hmm. And they said, "Well, did you think it was a foul?" And he's like, "Well, they reviewed it and they think it was a foul, and so I think it's a foul." And they were like, "Well, did you watch it or will you watch it?" And he's like, "I won't watch it. I'm not going to look at that." And then the guy follows up with, "Sorry, just why won't you watch it?" What the fuck do you mean? Why won't you watch it? Have you never experienced disappointment ever in your life? And you would really want to ask the question? That's your follow-up? Why won't you watch it? Like, that's the guy that deserved the Mike Malone stupid ass questions response. What are you talking? Why won't you watch? What are you talking about?
It's a very tricky situation to be in.
It is tricky. It's tricky.
Ask anybody anything after they have just suffered a devastating, just like, this fucking sucks kind of loss. It's just the worst. It's just the worst. I thought the Mike Malone part where he starts talking about the thing that's the hardest is that this is the end of this season. You know, that to me was like an insightful answer, because you're like, oh, well, I'm not thinking about, dang, we should not have lost that lead. I'm thinking about our season is over. Exactly. I'm not going to get to be around my friends for the next couple of months, and I'm going to go be sad and alone, and that sucks a lot. Well, I think you got to ask questions, and I think sometimes they're going to get under the skin a little bit, and it's okay. It's okay to ask those questions. It's okay for the guy to get mad at you and call him stupid ass questions. Like, that's part of it. It's fine.
I agree. I mean, listen, if somebody was trying to ask me questions after that, and I had made my peace with the Knicks losing in 7, and I didn't play in the game, but if somebody was to like sit me down for an interview after game 7, I'd be like, yeah, how about this? How about fuck you?
Yeah.
How about go fuck yourself?
This is why whenever they lose a game, I don't text you. I know. I'm not going to text them.
I throw my phone like in the basement for like 3 hours.
I'm like, I'll get them the next day. It'll be fine. Regarding the Knicks, I will ask. So Brunson mentions afterward, they ask him, do you see this season as a success? Mm-hmm. And then he says, no, it wasn't. We didn't make it to the finals. We didn't win a championship. It's not a success. Do you, Jayson Concepcion, Knicks fan, look at the season and say, this is a success for me?
I do, because I think if you had come to me before the season and said, here's what will happen, the Knicks will be the 2 seed, and they will top out in the 7th game of the second round of the playoffs. I'd say, wow, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good to me, and overall, I think that we've, as I said several episodes ago, the playoffs for teams that don't have a championship pedigree or are not already contenders is about finding out how far away you are. And I think we found out some important things about the franchise. I think the franchise is on the most solid and positive footing that it's been on in 20 plus years. Obviously some big decisions to make. And I think that it's revealed some things that are important. One, you need high level help for Jaylen so that he's not doing everything by himself. And then you need health. Organizationally, they just need to think about, we've got a good core and you want to keep that core together. How do you get everybody healthy all the way through to the playoffs? I think those 2 things are going to be important, but otherwise I feel very positive about the season. I think the team showed that they have tremendous heart and that they have a real culture there now. And I think that's really important and positive.
I was thinking a bunch about, as the Knicks are playing and they started doing that, really, I thought this was like this year's version of last year's Sacramento Kings Light the Beam thing, which was the most fun. Just like, this is great. This is a great little thing that they're doing. I thought this year's version of it was the Knicks alumni row that they were doing, where they just were bringing more and more former Knicks players to the game. Right. And they're you're watching like Jalen Brunson hit a layup or a jumper, or Josh Hart get a rebound, or Hartenstein or whatever. And then right there in the shot is John Starks jumping around, high-fiving with Latrell Sprewell, bumping chests with Stephon Marbury. Like, it was great. It was so much fun. And as they're showing those guys, I start to think about it. See, like, obviously they would all like to win a championship. I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it seems kind of awesome to be like known as the guy who you just went out there and you died on your shield. Like, you went out there and you fought and you didn't win it, but we watched you fucking fight and fight and fight. And now 20 years later, you're a beloved basketball figure. Like, that seems like a pretty cool thing to age your way into. You know what I mean? And so the Knicks are losing this series, and it's like that. Josh Hart is going to be at a game at some point 15 years from now, and they're going to do this for him. Hartenstein is going to do that. Brunson is going to do that. Even if they never win, I hope they do. But even if they don't, that's pretty fucking a cool reputation to have.
No, I agree. I mean, this is why, first of all, shouts to the Pacers. They won that game, overcame tremendous small market versus big market adversity. The deck completely stacked against them. And I think you're right. That's why I said an episode ago, like, I don't mind Reggie Miller on the broadcast because it reminds me of those times when we were good. And that will, you're exactly right. We're going to look back at this team. This team already has a special place, I think, in New York sports fans' hearts, and it'll continue to have that. And it will, no matter what they do, this will be a beloved team in New York.
That's great. That's great. Shout out the Knicks. Yeah. Shout out the Pacers.
Shout out the Pacers. Congratulations to them.
Tyrese the Terror. Bullying y'all.
Great.
He was great.
I mean, listen, this is why other than to celebrate when the refs make a mistake on my behalf, I honestly don't get too involved in the reffing because it always evens out. Like, the Knicks absolutely got the benefit of whistles at home. It went to Indianapolis. The Pacers got the benefit of whistles, and this is always how it works. Even if you look back in history, some of the worst refereeing, the Game 6, 2002 Kings-Lakers, the Kings then had a Game 7 in which they had multiple wide open shots to win that series and then didn't. Like, it evens out. It's never just the call that does it. And if you like zoom in on any great moment in NBA history, I guarantee you, whatever play it is, whether it's Reggie's 8.9 seconds or Jordan against Utah, there's always a foul. There's always a foul somewhere there, right? So it always evens out. It just always evens out. And the Pacers just took it to us. They played harder. They were fresher. Injuries are part of the game. And the Knicks fell to the injury bug, and the Pacers took it to them.
Next trophy. The Chief Keef that says shit I don't like trophy. Just give it out to whoever it is who does something, and we just don't like it. We don't like it. I don't like it. This week's winner, Draymond Green, for not going on TNT after annihilating Rudy Gobert following a Game 5 loss where the Joker pulled his legs off and threw him in a pit of vipers and scorpions in front of everybody. And then here he comes, and Rudy Gobert plays an incredible Game 6, a Game 7.
Where was he?
They win. Where's Draymond? Where is Draymond?
Where is he? Why is he not there to answer for his besmirchment of Rudy Gobert, which is clearly personal? Here's what he said after that game where the Joker just went crazy. Quote, "When you lose the belief, it's over. They don't believe they can win anymore, the Timberwolves, which means this series is over."
So he says that. He also takes a lot of shots at Rudy. I think right before saying this, he has the great, you're saying a lot of we, and those you need to get a stop. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. That's great. But Draymond and Rudy Gobert clearly do not like each other. This is a years long.
What was the hint? Was it when Draymond tried to put Rudy to sleep on the court?
This is a years long debate, or not debate. This is a years long dislike they've had among back to 2017. I think was the first little thing of like Gobert tweeted, laughing my ass off in response to Bleacher Report outlining Kawhi and Draymond as the league's best defenders. Right, that's how it started. And then Draymond tweets at him later, and then it goes back. Like, this is years it's going. We had the incident earlier this season where fucking Draymond Green put Rudy Gobert in a rear naked choke in front of everybody just in the middle of a game. It was a whole disaster. But yes, Draymond pulls them apart after Game 5. You got to be there following Game 7. You got to be there. You got to put a camera on Draymond
somewhere
immediately.
Get
him a microphone.
Reaction.
He signed a broadcast deal with y'all, right? Like, this is we got to have it.
Yes.
You got to have it.
Now,
you got to have it.
Maybe TNT will say, well, he's booked. He's going to be in the Western Conference Finals. He's going to be there as the announced team, which I think is, by the way, terrible. I am not a fan. I don't think Draymond adds anything. I think he's airing personal grievances on the air.
Absolutely.
And I guess that people will say, like the pro Draymond Campbell will say, well, doesn't Shaq do that? Doesn't Kenny and Charles? Of course they do. But they're fucking retired.
They're out of the game.
They're not in the game. It's different when the guy who next season will also have the chance to slip his arm under your chin and choke you out once again as an active player in the league is the guy who's pretending very badly that it's not about how much he hates Rudy Gobert when he's like talking about Rudy Gobert. And I just think it's just not for me. It's just, I don't think he adds anything. Sometimes when he's just talking about purely basketball and the X's and O's stuff, I actually think he's very, very insightful. But his airing of grievances is so bad. And the moment where it actually would have been valuable is in after that Game 7 is right there to react right to what he had said. Not now in the Western Conference Finals when now you've got another active series and he can continue to shit on Rudy throughout the series and move past the fact that he absolutely predicted that they would lose.
I gotta when they were playing Game 5, I was making jokes about Rudy Gobert on Twitter, right? Not just Rudy, but Rudy was in there. And then in Game 6, when they blow the Nuggets out by 1,000 points, I got a whole bunch of tweets from people who were like, "Oh, nothing to say about Rudy today." No, because y'all are winning by 45 points. Like, that's how that works. He's doing great. Great job. Way to go. Zuri pointed this out, which I thought was friggin' hilarious. So Draymond Green signs a multi-year deal with TNT in January of 2022. Right. And everyone's like, well, this seems like a good idea. Like Draymond is a smart guy. He's a great basketball player. We're excited to hear what he has to say. And then since January 2022, Draymond Green has been ejected from a playoff game, which happened against Memphis. He punched Jordan Poole in training camp. He got a 1-game suspension for throwing a ball at Russell Westbrook's head.
Right.
He got ejected from another playoff game and suspended for stomping on Domantas Sabonis. He drew a 5-game suspension for the Gobert choke. Drew an indefinite suspension for punching Nurkic. And he made Steph Curry cry by getting ejected 4 minutes into a game against Orlando. That's all happened since he signed his multi-year deal. And now here we are.
And I'll say one other thing. Here's what I love about the TNT crew is that they all take shots at each other. Like Charles is merciless against Shaq, who's merciless against Kenny and Charles, and it's all grist for the mill. It's wonderful. They kind of pull their punches with Draymond. Like they don't really.
They're not close friends yet. Yeah.
Yeah, like when he goes in on Gobert, they're like, oh, they chuckle a little bit and are like, oh, okay, here we go. But they don't really call him to task about it the way they do each other. Mm-hmm. And I hope they do, because it would just be a better show if they actually go at him. But I do wonder, I understand that they're not friends. And I think that's kind of like a shorthand way of saying they don't know if he'll flip out.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't know what he's going to, you don't know how he's going to respond to it yet. Yeah. Shaq can make fun of Charles. Charles can make fun of Shaq. They know exactly how it's going to go.
They know how it's going to go.
They know how it's going to go. You start making fun of Draymond or you start calling him out on stuff. Who knows what happens? He might laugh. I assume he would just laugh and joke it off, or he might pick up a chair and crush it over your head. Who knows? We don't know. It's all in play right now. Can I ask for you, Jayson? Can you give me 30 seconds criticizing Draymond Green, but in the Bane voice? In the Bane voice, what was wrong with this scenario?
With him not
with him not showing up to address his reckoning.
Game 7. Rudy Gobert. He's explosive. He's mobile. He's not barbecue chicken. Where are you, Draymond? You. The smoke. You didn't want to talk about your prediction. The Timberwolves had lost their belief. You said it's over. Draymond, you called him barbecue chicken. But where are you now? I will give you 24 hours, Draymond Green, to appear on TNT and apologize for your crimes. Or else the city of Gotham will rise.
Zuri, play some applause. That was great. That was so much better than last time. Yeah. Bane is the only guest we'll ever allow on the show is Bane. Next trophy, the Step Brothers Catalina Wine Mixer Trophy. Given out to the thing we're most excited about for the upcoming week. This week's winner, the day the Eastern Conference is as good as the West. Man, Jayson, what is going on?
I don't know. I think we've talked about it earlier in the season. I think it's several things. I think a lot of it is that the Western teams are kind of smarter, have been smarter, and then luck. Shouts to the Celtics for making the conference finals again. Draymond Green, I think, said one thing that I agree with, which is that nobody really cares. It's true. And I'm not usually one for asterisks, but I do think it's notable that every team in the East basically was absolutely destroyed by injuries this year. And so whoever comes out of the East, I think, is going to be kind of fresh. And I'm expecting it to be the Celtics, but I think they've never really been tested this entire postseason. That's because, everybody's been decimated. The Pacers beat a Bucks team that's missing a lot of people. The Cavs missing like 3/5 of their starting lineup. Like it's just the Knicks missing 4/5, and then later by the third quarter of Game 7, like their entire starting lineup. And furthermore, I mean, you just look at the records. The West is stacked and is only getting stronger, whereas the East is good but continues to be the weak sibling. I don't know when it will change, and it's been almost 30, going on 30 years now.
This is one of those situations where you hear somebody say, "Oh, the East is always weaker than the West," and it feels like that's just a thing people say. You heard somebody say it, and now you say it. But then you go and you look at the actual numbers, and it's true. The East is historically weaker than the West. Here are a few of them that stood out to me. The 8th seed in the Eastern Conference has only had a better record than the 8th seed in the Western Conference 3 times since 1999. 3 times.
1999!
Since 1999. It's been a quarter century, only 3 times. The 2004 Boston Celtics made the playoffs despite going 36-46, which would have had them the third worst record in the Western Conference. This season's top 3 MVP candidates all played in the West. SGA, Luka, the Joker. This season, the 10th seed in the West won 10 more games than the 10th seed in the East. Like,
that's crazy.
It really is, and it feels like this is not a problem necessarily, but it's a thing that's there, and we're gonna talk about it. I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
Here's one way it could flip. If expansion happens and we get a team in Vegas and Seattle, I think I would expect that probably New Orleans and the Timberwolves would flip to the East. So maybe that changes. If you get, man, Timberwolves in the East would be fucking crazy.
Yeah, buddy.
That would be nuts.
That would be wonderful.
Truly nuts. But I think that's a way it might flip in the foreseeable future. But otherwise, man, it's been a long-running problem, and it feels, I guess it's not like top level on the things that the NBA would want to address, but it feels like a thing that should be looked at, should be figured out, because it's definitely very, very weird and creates a little bit of an imbalance. I guess you're always going to have a one side stronger than the other, but for going on for 25 plus years, it's crazy.
Should they get rid of the conferences altogether and just do top to bottom, best to worst record? That's how we're doing playoff seedings.
I think that would be cool. I also think that the teams would not like, they wouldn't go for it. I think that more than half the league, the ownership groups would vote against something like that.
Yeah,
because now you're not in the playoffs. You're not going to vote for yourself to not get in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Atlanta Hawks are like, no, absolutely not.
Hard no.
You want to do the little trophies?
Let's do it.
Let's do the little trophies. These ones change each week and are situation specific. They're for the smaller storylines that we want to mention but don't need to get all the way into. My first little trophy. The Captain Raymond Holt. I asked them if they wanted to embarrass you, and they instantly said yes. Trophy. That goes to Jayson Concepcion. Congratulations, the New York Knicks. Get into a Game 7 and then instantly embarrass you. They fell apart. Every player hurt. Jalen breaks his hand. Josh breaks his stomach. What's
broke his stomach in the previous game. It was they came
that was
out.
The
they
mean
played
thing.
hard of this. Yeah, it's fine. We couldn't stop them. I will say they shot like what is it like a playoff record like 67%, and
it was
were only
unbelievable.
Down by 7 late in the game. That tells you that there's some defense there's some defensive issues there that I think don't fall under things that are affected by the big market, small market conspiracy. But again, shouts to the Pacers. They just played better. They
played better.
They played better. Shouts to Tyrese wearing the Reggie Miller sweatshirt. Shouts to all that stuff. I honestly like when you win, you get to do whatever you want. So shouts to them.
We are now 33 episodes into the season. We've had the same format the whole time. We do the 6 big trophies and the 6 little trophies. The 6 little trophies always change. And maybe starting by like week 2, I started getting messages from people being like, what about this for a little trophy? What about that for a little trophy? This trophy here, the Captain Raymond Hold, I asked them if they wanted to embarrass you, and they instantly said yes trophy to Jayson Concepcion in the New York Knicks. That was from a listener, Matt Wooten, messaged me,
Matt.
and he was like, hey, you should give this to Jayson.
Nice, Matt. Hey, Matt, go fuck yourself, okay? My first little trophy is the Hall & Oates Private Eyes. They're watching you. They see your every move trophy, too. The cheating ass Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA who are cheating and are currently under investigation for a deal that they said they didn't know anything about, put forward by the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority that would provide every single Aces player with $100,000.
Hell yeah.
Free of charge. Now listen,
Hell yeah.
we love to see the W players get paid. But circumventing the salary cap,
hey,
cheaters,
do what you do.
Guys.
Do what you do.
Really? This is what you're going to, what about the Fever who don't have a tourism board that could, what about the small, now where's the heartstrings for the small markets that don't have this big tourism board to shell out honey buns in bowling bags for their players? I'm glad this is being investigated, and I think that entire team from top to bottom needs to be cleaned out of cheaters.
You want back-to-back champs? We got back-to-back champs in the W, baby. My beloved Las Vegas Aces. Keep going. Everybody in every casino should give every player on the Aces $100,000. Fuck it, let's make them all millionaires. Let's go get a third ring.
Do you think this helped or hurt Vegas's chances of getting an NBA team? Because if they tried some shit like this, do you think Adam Silver would be like, hold the fuck on, stop?
I'm all for it. Give those players their money. Give it to them. Next little trophy, the Jay-Z, well, we don't believe you. You need more people trophy. Oh, what a great line. Great voice, Jay-Z. To the report that LeBron James is not involved in the Lakers search for a new head coach. We don't believe you. We don't believe you. You need more people.
It's true. Why would he do that? Why would he? What?
There's no way.
Who?
There's no way.
Coach? Who's that?
I hope it's JJ. Get JJ Redick in there. I want to see it. I want to see it.
JJ Redick? Never met the guy. I don't know.
I want to see it.
I know him a little bit. A little bit, but coach? No. What? What are you talking about? My second little trophy is the Let It Go from Frozen. Let it go. Can't hold back anymore trophy too. This tweet by our former colleague, Andrew Sharp, about Draymond being on TNT, quote, Draymond has been added to Inside the NBA to make it easier for all of us to let go one final masterstroke from the best studio show in history. You know, when I looked at it this way, it actually helped because I think we all know that TNT is losing the league. We're going to lose the best sports show in history. And Andrew, you're right. Having Draymond there has helped. Like, I've been muting it at times.
Oh no.
And it has helped me. It's helped me come to terms with it.
There was a brief period when Shaq first arrived as part of the show, and everybody was like, this sucks. We just want Ernie, Kenny, and Charles, and that's it. Because when Shaq first got there, he wouldn't play. He wouldn't play every time they made fun of him, he would be like, I won 4 championships. That's all he would do. Now he's maybe the funniest one on there.
I agree, but he's not playing. He was a retired guy.
My last little trophy. The Dori and Finding Nemo. When life gets you down, you know what you got to do? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Trophy. To Caitlin Clark. They almost got a win. They almost beat the Sun.
They came very close.
They were so close. They're down.
Hit that logo 3.
They're down by 2. Get the ball in Caitlin's hands. Let her get a 3 up. They ran a great play. They ran a great play for Aaliyah Boston. She gets a pretty good look at a layup. Doesn't go in. They end up losing the game again. They're so close. They're so close to winning. And it feels like when the team figures it out, when they get it together, they're going to be good. And I can't wait. Caitlin, Indiana Fever, just keep swimming, just keep going. You're going to get, what a great time it must be to live in Indiana right now. Just, that's like basketball heaven.
It is
already.
Like,
and now you have two, like the most exciting WNBA prospect. And you also have a team in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Come on. What fun it must be.
my final little trophy is the Now We Are Free from Gladiator. Ano shalom, ano shale kado, denaya flavum delish trophy too.
Did you write the lyrics down? I was trying to picture who was saying this in the movie.
To Jalen and Josh for greeting fans after Game 7 is a beautiful outpouring of appreciation between the fans and the players. A really cool moment. And shouts to the entire New York Knicks squad. Played through injury, played through hardship, and really showed that they have the heart to compete. That they have a great culture, and it was a great season.
It was great.
Shouts
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun
Yeah.
to be a Knicks fan by proxy this year. I appreciated it. We did it again, Jason. Another
did it
perfect
again.
episode. Another perfect episode. We close every episode just by saying the names of underappreciated old basketball players with no context at all while the theme music carries us out. Zuri, will you play the theme music, please? I'm Shea Serrano. That's Jason Concepcion. Producer Zuri in the shadows making the noises. See y'all next Wednesday. I'm in honor of this great little trophy, I'm just doing cast members of Gladiator. Russell Crowe as Maximus. What a great movie.
Okay. I'm gonna do songs from the Gladiator soundtrack, which is one of my favorite Hans Zimmers and one of my favorite like workout soundtracks. I'm gonna start with Wheat. The sound of the wheat by Lisa Gerrard and Hans Zimmer. The sound when Maximus is touching the wheat.
Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus. Great bad guy.
Strength and Honor.
Connie Nielsen as Lucilla.
Good one. Barbarian Horde.
Oh, great
Good
moment. Oliver Reed as Proximo.
Sick man, take this. Stick it into a man's flesh. That's got to be the most intense line reading of all. Oliver Reed doing that line.
At some point, if you're still listening to the show right now, the volume is fading. You can barely hear us. I'm going to make you a promise. At some point, you're going to tune in, and we're not going to do any basketball one week. It's just going to be all Gladiator. It will be all Gladiator movie the whole time. That's all we're going to talk about. That's what's going to happen.
Take this, stick it into a man's flesh, and then the sound, it rises. You are a gladiator. Yes, I was.